Hi, I'm going to try to explain this massive patch I've got going on here. I've never done anything like this before, so bear with me. Okay, so I wanted to start with trying to explain this load of VCAs I've got going on here. The idea for this track was to make a generative patch that has channels actually coming in slowly over time and then going out again at the end. That's actually what you can see happening here. The way I did that is by using this LFO over here, which has is basically a 4-minute long cycle that is offset, so it goes from 0 to plus and then back to 0. Over here I have a load of VCAs all set slightly differently with voltage coming in from here. That one by one will pass through that voltage to the mute of these VCAs over here, and they will slowly unmute all these channels and then mute them again near the end. That way creating a cycle that's completely hands-free but still has channels coming in and out like a normal track. The sound that the track starts and ends with, it's basically a standard Krell patch with a quantizer, and it is triggering my rack over here. It's a single oscillator going into my wasp filter, and then the wasp filter is also being modulated by a sample and hold. This is the rack itself. It's 4 voices, 4 oscillators, 4 filters, 4 envelopes, 4 VCAs, with basically everything that can be modulated by sample and holds and LFOs being modulated. These 2 background melodies are being generated by these 2 sample and holds, both slightly differently quantized. The first sample and hold is being, the range is being modulated by a couple more looping envelopes. It's also triggering this envelope that goes out to the gate into my rack. It's also being inverted and going to the second channel into my rack. Both are going to separate filters in my rack and also being modulated again by sample and hold and by envelopes in my rack into the filter. Okay, so the lead. It's 2 oscillators where they're being triggered by random gate, and the pitch is being generated by both a standard Krell patch that's quantized, or the output of one of these envelopes, and it switches between those 2 with a sequential switch, which is again being triggered by random gate. Then the FM you're hearing is slowly by the main LFO that also controls the mute of the entire patch. Slowly it makes more FM come in, and FM is actually the bass that's being put in the FM of these 2 oscillators. Then the range of the pitch is also being modulated by that same LFO, so the more to the middle of the track, the higher the range of the Krell patch and the envelope output going into the quantizer. The bass is basically a single note being octave switched by the sequential switch triggered by this random gate. and it goes to my rack, again in my rack being triggered by or modulated by sample and hold into the filter, and the envelope is also being modulated by the sample and hold. Okay, drums. We have a kick, a snare, and 2 hi-hats. The kick is being triggered by 4 different kick drum patterns being randomly switched between by these random gates. Then we have the snare being triggered by another random gate with the filter cutoff being modulated by sample and hold. Then the snare is also doubled to a different random gate, so every once in a while it will go to a separate channel with full reverb and delay on it for extra effect. And 2 hi-hats, 1 hi-hat is simply being triggered quickly, with again the filter being modulated by sample and hold, and the release also being modulated by another sample and hold. Then the last hi-hat is being triggered 3 different patterns, quickly switched between by these looping envelopes, and the pitch is also being modulated by this envelope over here. The entire track is being transposed by these 3 notes. They're going into this sequential switch where there's a 2 in 6 chance for the first note, a 3 in 6 chance for the second note, and a 1 in 6 chance for the third note to transpose the entire track. It's being randomly triggered, so you never really know when it's gonna happen. Then lastly, the pad is again a dual oscillator, quantized. Pitch being controlled by sample and hold. It's being triggered by random gate again. And then the filter is being modulated by some noise and a sample and hold. Okay, I hope this explains everything a bit, if you can make sense out of my weird rambling. There's a lot of other small little things going on in this patch, but I could spend hours talking about it, so I think this is long enough. I hope you enjoyed.